I think this is the most detail we've ever spent on microphone sounds.
Oh, you know what it is? It's because Marie sounds really good. She's got her shit dialed in, and all of a sudden we sound like schmucks in comparison.
We're all just trying to be impressed. We're trying to make a good impression.
Like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Like, it's
Ignorance is the way forward. That's what it is. That's it. Well, I wasn't finished talking about the stag do that.
Oh yeah, I want to hear about it. I didn't know you was into Formula One, or is that the brother-in-law?
No, I am. Like, well, he is as well. But like, you remember that one of my shows of like most anticipated shows was Drive to Survive, the Formula One show.
Of course, I remember that.
Yes,
of course, yes.
I can tell you remember that. You fucking liar. But yeah, no, we went on this. We went to Oxford and we did like off-road dirt buggy racing and hovercrafting and clay pigeon shooting. It was all very, very manly. To which I was very average. Went to Silverstone, the Formula One track, the racetrack, and went to the museum there, and it was very awesome. And I learned way more about Formula One safety than I ever thought possible. So,
for your meal, did you have any grilled radstag, squirrel on a stick, or sugar bombs?
I did not, only because they weren't on the menu. Had they been, I would have ordered them post haste.
And you can see what I'm trying to do here, Ben.
It's a good segue. It's a good segue.
I'm trying to segue us
into.
Right.
It was okay. I felt like you could have done better. Did you mention a rad roach in there?
I
literally
attention already.
You know what? I think you saved it by making fun of him, so we're good.
Yeah. Just go. Just start it. Just start it.
And cue the music.
Hi and welcome to Vault 99 for a spoiler special episode on one of my favourite shows of the year so far, and that is Prime Videos Fallout. My name's Neil, and I will be your Vault overseer. Oh, motherfucker! My name's Neil.
I'll be your Vault motherfucker.
And there's the outtake. Last time we did this, and Ben said that, and when I said motherfucker, that we literally put that outtake out, and it got like 700 views.
Nice.
My name's Neil, and I will be your Vault Overseer today, and I'm joined by everyone's favourite wasteland wanderer, Ben-Ghoul. Hey, Ben-Ghoul, how's it going?
Ben-Ghoul sounds like I'm from Ben-Ghoul.
Or a tiger.
Although I am a bloody great Bengali tiger. I'm doing well. It's nice to be back. It's great to be here. It's great to be seen. I missed you all very, very much. By that, I mean I didn't think about you once, and this is a really, really draining my spare time right now.
From the Brotherhood of Evil Goatees, we have Initiate Lopez. Hey, Jose, when are you getting your power armor?
Pretty soon. It's coming in the mail. Or in the post, as you say.
I would not want to be your mailman. This is going to be big as shit. We have Child of the Atom and deathclaw enthusiast, David.
Glory to the Atom, Neil. How are you doing?
I am good, my friend. Good. And our special guest wasteland wanderer this episode has been making her way from Philly all the way via Portugal to New Vegas, looking to repurpose whatever she can find on the way. Say hello to Marie from Two Girls, One Reusable Cup.
Hey,
golf clap.
Golf clapping.
Golf clap.
clapping. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me again. It's always so much fun being on here. So I'm always glad when you always invite me back.
You need more hobbies.
I have no life. I really don't. It's just podcasting. I literally just sit here and wait for Neil to message me. That's my life.
It's the first time with all of us as well, so you're probably not going to want to come back afterwards. It was just Neil before.
No, I've been in there as well.
Oh, have you? Oh, sorry, Ben. My bad.
I have to ask, since I've never met you in person, where are you from?
Oh, that is a complicated question. So I'm half German, half Hungarian, born in Brussels, grew up in Ireland, studied in the UK, and now I live in Portugal.
Ooh, that's fun. As an American who's uncultured, all those countries sound amazing.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
You can speak 2 languages, Jose, which still beats most of us. So.
Yay! Yes, Espanol.
So, we've already talked a lot about Fallout before the show came out and how it might work as an adaptation on TV, and now we've all finally seen it. And yes, like I said, it is one of my favourite shows of the year. It might not be one of the best shows of the year, I think, at the end of the year. I mean, we still haven't talked about Shogun, which is definitely going to be up there. But this is a show that I think I'm probably going to go back to time and time again. One, to just catch all the Easter eggs in it, and it's just fun. It's more fun than the cold Nuka-Cola on a hot irradiated day. So let's talk a bit about the pre-project and how this came to be. So Fallout is based on a video game series made by Bethesda, and the boss of the Bethesda, Todd Howard, he's basically been approached since like Fallout 3 came out over like 15 years ago. People going, can we make it? Can we make it? And he's like, no, come up with a better idea. And someone finally did. And that was Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonathan Nolan. And he finally relented when Nolan basically proved his geekiness and love of the games to him. With the success of Person of Interest, which was his Jonathan Nolan's kind of first show. Who here's seen Person of Interest?
Me, it's fucking brilliant.
So just me and Ben. So yeah, it started as like a police procedural, and it had Ben from Lost in it as well, not this Ben.
Thanks for clarifying.
But it ended almost like this Terminator-style TV series with AI trying to murder everyone. And this was about 15 years ago. This show probably finished now, I reckon.
Yeah.
They then went on to produce Westworld, which, hey, first series was amazing, and then I think most people checked out during the second series. Marie is nodding her head. She did not check out in the second series.
No, second series I survived, but after that, awful. It's just, that is a case study in itself, the degrading of Westworld, I think.
I think if you know a bit about the games, then there is a faction in the Fallout games called the Institute, and there's a lot of synth-style characters that we didn't see almost nothing of in the first series. So again, I wonder if hiring the guys who've done the robot synth human show was probably back in the back of their minds for when they come to adapt this, maybe.
Yeah, potentially. I've tried watching Westworld twice, and both times, the first season, it's just spectacular television. And then the second season, every time, it's like around the 5th episode, and that's it. I just never go back to it. Both times, around the exact same point each time.
Do you think that they didn't plan ahead?
The pacing just goes so slow.
Oh, definitely. They did not plan ahead.
I made it through the second series, but I just never picked it up after that. And it looked interesting when they went to the real world, quote unquote real world. But that was just from the trailer.
So did you finish it, Marie?
No, I think I saw like the second last episode of season 3, and then because it was COVID and we had nothing else to watch. But even then we rage quit because it wasn't worth the HBO subscription. Yeah, I completely lost track of it, but I think that's the second it got really, really bad is when they entered the real world. I mean, it's the park what made the story special.
I that was kind of one of my worries when they were doing the show. I was like, well, look, Person of Interest started good, like average. Well, Person of Interest started average, and then it got amazing as it went on. It got so good, and what they were doing on a low budget.
It started average.
It did start average. It was like a police show of the week one, wasn't it? It started as a procedural, and then it became.
It started straight away as an AI that was trying to stop people from getting killed. It came out and it represented what it was all the way through that season. I don't think that's fair to say that it started average or that it started any way differently than it ended, because I think that
my opinion, then it started average.
In your opinion, which, let's be honest, isn't perfect.
Like AI.
No, but in all seriousness, I think it's a disservice to say that it didn't start like it ended, because it did start as a computer or a guy that had this magical box that could tell him that someone was going to be in trouble, like the victim or perpetrator, and then he sent ex-Jesus after the bad guys and sorted them all out.
Jim Caviezel, yeah.
Jim Caviezel, yeah.
Did it get better after the first season, though? Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you both in agree?
Yeah, massively.
Okay, cool. Right.
Would you say it was almost like it, Neil, were you just skeptical in the beginning and then you just accepted it
No,
later?
it's just I'm not a big fan of procedurals. I'm not a big fan of shows where the same thing happens every week, and I like them more to move forward in plots. I like a more serialized show, and it was this week I'm going to investigate this case. This week I'm going to investigate this case, and the story doesn't really move along that lot. Yeah, like Ben said, it started off. It didn't really change from what it was, but it grew into something where the ongoing story was you was like waiting for the next episode each week. You really couldn't wait for it.
The first season was definitely like villain of the week, with something they were alluding to at the end. And then once you got there and they got greenlit for season 2, they were like, all right, well, we got season 2's full quota. We'll do an arc that makes sense. And then they bring in other characters like Fred from Angel and stuff. It's well worth a watch. I think it finishes really strong as well. It's up there for one of the best season finishes for me.
The reason we're talking about it is because Chris Nolan's brother What's his name?
Jonathan Nolan.
Jonathan Nolan.
And his wife, Lisa Joy, were the team behind this, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
So it gives us hope that there's going to be a future for Fallout, right? It's
I
from
think
person
so.
of interest. Because if Westworld died off, like died a death after season 2, after season 2, this person of interest got better. So they were saying that there's a positive, we can expect, there's hope for a very good season 2 after a very good season 1, yeah?
Definitely, yeah.
Excellent.
And to be fair, I think how strong season 1 is so far. Right, so next up, who has played the games? David, I'm going to come to you last because I know you have, just like me. Marie, have you ever played the games?
No. I went into this completely blind. I watched one playthrough of New Vegas when a content creator I follow decided to play through it, but even that I didn't, because he was in the States, so I didn't see all of it either. So no, I knew nothing about this.
Okay, Ben?
Nope, not seen it, not played it. This is my first foray into the world of Fallout.
And Jose?
I am a game virgin, yes. I've never played this game, but playing video games, I could see very specific parts that were like alluding to things. So I was like, oh, that's a big deal to somebody. So it's kind of fun to catch those, even though you're not a fan.
I mean, yeah, I've loved the show that much that I've gone back and started playing the 4th game again, and it's just, yeah.
Actually, I've heard that a lot of the physical copies from stores, have been selling out because of this show, at least here in the States.
Fallout 76 had its like highest number of like players online at one. It like peaked after the show.
David, when did you start with Fallout, the games?
Started with Fallout 3.
Same.
And then after Fallout 3, I went back and played 1 and 2, which was like totally different. And they're really short as well. They're only like 10-hour games.
Oh, wow.
I can't really remember much about Fallout 1 and 2, but they're more like cameras looking down at everything and you click it. It's not like first person or third person walking around, open world adventure sort of game.
Yeah.
And then Fallout New Vegas after that, right? And then Fallout 4. And then Fallout 76 when it came out. But when it came out, it wasn't great.
It was terrible.
So then, and I think that was the case for a lot of things. Now it's apparently really good, but I haven't revisited it. And I've even playing Fallout Shelter at the moment. I've revisited Fallout Shelter,
which is like the mobile one, right?
Yeah, it's like the mobile game where you got to keep your little dwellers alive and like send them off on little adventures and stuff.
Yeah, I think Quantify was saying I don't think a lot of people enjoyed. There's a bit of a resistance to Fallout 76 because the other games, they're just big open world sandbox RPGs where you're just wandering around and like, you can take whatever path you want to leveling up your character and going through these different post-apocalyptic wasteland factions. And then they try to make it a big online MMORPG like, World of Warcraft. But, and when I was playing it was so buggy when it first came out. I think, like you say, David, like now they reckon, it's quite good to do now. But yeah, it had tons of issues at launch. And I think people have said it got much better, but I just haven't gone back to it. So as I've probably mentioned before, Fallout, I actually thought was a perfect game to adapt. Because unlike something like The Last of Us, where you have to hit the same story beats and the characters were so well written and performed in the game, Fallout doesn't have that strong central narrative. But what it does have is a massively entertaining, fully fleshed out world that's just fun for people to play in. And it's just tons of fun to lose yourself in it for hours. And it's kind of got that Last of Us thing where you can just wander around and you'll wander into like there's some shack somewhere and there'll be a note on the fridge and you'll read the note and then it will send you off on some weird side quest where something that looks like the cross between a predator and alien tries to murder you horrifically. We're going to talk about deathclaws because we've not seen one yet.
We had like a little hint at a deathclaw.
Yeah, a little taste of deathclaw. I admired their restraint in not like just spunking the whole story game stuff in one go in the first series. They like their reserve in holding stuff back was really well done. But yeah, so the central narrative of almost every game is simply scavenge, investigate the post-nuclear wasteland. Maybe you wake up in a vault and then have to find someone, or maybe you're someone who's lost their memory. It isn't the main narrative that makes the game entertaining. It's the world that it's set in. And like you say, you go between all the different factions and you got like people like the Children of the Atom, who are this cult in the desert who worship radiation that we've not seen in the show yet. The Brotherhood of Steel, who we have seen. You've got the Railroad, the Institute. That's your Simps and your like robot characters. They're really cool. We got the Raiders. We haven't seen our super mutants yet either, David.
No, the Enclave.
The Enclave, yep. I haven't really seen them.
No.
And as you get closer to the end of the games, what it usually does is it usually makes you have to make a decision which faction you kind of want to side with. And then that will give you different outcomes to the game, which obviously enhances its replayability again. So when it was announced, I was like, a lot of people wondered how this was going to work. because, like you say, you don't have that strong story to base it on. But I think they just nailed the tone of it.
Yeah, they took the sandbox element of
Sandbox,
it,
exactly.
all of the story, like all the story, like the faction elements of it, and created a story around, like its own original story around it, which is probably the best way of doing it.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
I sent actually David a nice little fun meme where it was Walton Goggins as a different character from a different show, but he was like playing this religious fellow, and he's like, the most boring version is when you play through as a good guy. And so I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, yeah, and then let's bring us onto our main three characters, because I think what the showrunners have done really well is they've picked a character from three of like the main factions. Well, I mean, the ghouls aren't really a faction; they're just roaming the wasteland, murdering people horribly. But you've got your regular ghouls and you've got your feral ghouls, which basically mind the zombies. Yeah, let's talk Walt Goggins. David, what did you think of Walt?
The Ghoul.
The Ghoul.
The Ghoul. Yeah, I thought so. Everyone seemed to have absolutely loved the Ghoul, but he's not. And so I don't get me wrong, I loved him. Don't get me wrong. I saw Marie's face. She gave me the eyebrows. She left, and she was like, "Whoa, don't insult him." I did obviously love him. He wasn't an anti-hero. He was the villain. He was a straight up villain of this. But people love him because he's charismatic as an actor and a character. His story is like the overall arc. So his whole story is played throughout really in backstory, isn't it? It's also before he's a ghoul. That's where the majority of his story plays out. And then his bounty hunter storyline as a ghoul, that's not where his story is. It's all 200 years.
It's a journey, isn't it?
In the past, right? Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you know that the past was so quote unquote supposed to be 2077? That's when it was taking place when he was still human.
Ah.
I did a little bit of research because I was trying to find out some character stuff, and I found out that technically when the past is 2077, so to us that's actually in the future, but it's like a alternate cool fun future, retro future.
Yeah, man. I mean, what I was basically trying to say is that it's awesome how they made you root for essentially the biggest dick in the entire show.
He is not the biggest dick in the entire show.
He's one of the biggest dicks in the entire show. He's just shooting innocent people, killing like whoever he wants. He'd go in there and shoot a baby if he could get
a code, David.
I'd be okay with that. Perhaps the baby was asking for it.
When you see his backstory, you're like, but he lost his kid and his wife, and then all of a sudden they start tugging on your heartstrings, and they place him exactly in the middle of that fracas. He is like on the fence because his code is he's being true to himself and whatever he has to do to survive, like as a ghoul. So I think that's probably what draws people to him. So
I mean, I think he's the perfect pitch for an anti-hero. Obviously, his morals are gray, but he's not purposely.
I'm not totally sure he has morals. I just think
he's got a code.
I don't think he's an anti-hero at the moment.
No,
I think it might become one later on in the show, as he's more like maybe Lucy's morals rub off on him and his morals rub off on her.
I think he did rub off on her.
Story might progress.
You guys got to stop people rubbing off on each other.
Well, I mean, he could have killed Lucy easily in a couple times.
He cut a finger off.
I mean, but that's not fatal.
He did sold her so she get her organs harvested. I do agree. I don't think he is meant to be morally gray. I think he is bad when we meet him in during that time, and like maybe the next few seasons will be softening up, but I don't think I mean I didn't want to see him dead. There's only one character that falls into that category, but I wasn't rooting for him either though. But I do think he was the most interesting character of the whole series and basically the central narrative tying everything together.
But I think what it is it's interesting because if you think about it, okay, so let's say he actually hasn't changed. He's not morally gray. He's just bad. But he's the one character that doesn't really change. He doesn't have an arc, but he's the most interesting. Think about it. And everyone kind of changes a little bit.
In the current timeline, he doesn't have an arc, but in the past, he definitely has an arc. I mean, because
he's the only character who gets flashbacks.
Yeah, he worked for Vault-Tec. He promoted them, and then in the end, and we don't actually really see what happens. Like,
not yet.
We know. Yeah, exactly. We know he found out, and then at the beginning of episode 1, we see that he's performing at parties because he's no longer getting paid jobs as an actor. So we already see this decline that he's gone through, and his daughter's there, but his wife is nowhere to be seen. So
Yeah, because I wondered about that. Because I was like, in a later episode when he says, "What we're in the final episode when he's like, I want to," he says about finding his
Where's my
wife and
wife?
his daughter.
Yeah.
And I was like, but
Mhm.
surely you'd already fallen out with your wife before this all happened because she was nowhere to be seen when
He
you
was
were doing
performing.
the kids' party.
Let's
at the
not
start.
jump to conclusions. He was performing at a kid's party. I don't think that's the sort of thing you take your wife to. Like it's
But why
just
his
like
daughter?
no,
but-
but the guy says, why is he performing at the kids' party? And when they're talking about him during the performance, and he says alimony.
Yeah.
So they're
I missed
definitely
that.
divorced.
Nice catch.
Oh.
And also, Ben, if they were still together, Ben, wouldn't they been closer to a fallout shelter when the thing went off? They were like, she would have known when the bombs were going to go. So they would have been
possibly,
Well,
maybe.
No, she's so evil. His wife that she's like, oh, do you know what? I'm fine with my husband and daughter getting incinerated. Turned
Yeah.
into ghouls.
I don't think she's fine with the daughter. It does that is something that I'm really curious how they're going to explore it because she was saying that she was doing all this for them, like it was her idea to drop the bombs. So, but I think it may have been an accident. I don't know, or she maybe got the dates mixed up or something. But I don't
That would be
think.
very Fallout, wouldn't it?
No,
I don't
calendar
think
fail.
her daughter was meant to be outside when the when the bombs dropped, and something clearly happened in between that time because, like, when we see him in the past, he's riding off into the sunset with his daughter on a horse, while nuclear bombs fall. Like, I'm very curious how they survived that part.
Yeah.
But then when we see him in the current timeline, he's looking for them. So it's like, what happened between that?
I think they realised that he's the most interesting character in the show, and we're going to just tease it out over seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't. I think that was planned in advance because you don't cast Walton Goggins in a role
Well,
like
this
that.
is what we said, wasn't it? When they announced the very initial casting, when they announced the cast for the show, it was like, Walt Goggins is playing a ghoul, not the ghoul. We didn't know he was the ghoul at that point. We was like, a ghoul, but that's just like a minor zombie character. Why isn't he like? Okay, there must be something more to it than that for him to take that role, and obviously there was. I mean, his intro in episode 1 actually reminded me of the Saint of Killers intro from Preacher, the comic book. And in a way, I was thinking he's almost a similar kind of character because he just oozes that cool and danger. I mean, I loved it. Like in the comic book of Preacher, the Saint of Killers is like buried in this, I forget the name of the hill, some hill up in heaven where they keep him. He's a patron saint of just murdering people, and they just leave him there for when shit's gone down and they need someone to be murdered. But the angels need someone to be killed. And I remember reading the comic panel, and he's like, they go and let him out, and the first thing that happens when they push the tombstone, the bit of the tombstone back is a bullet rings out and shoots one of the angels in the head. And the angel's like lying there dying on the floor going, but I was a seraphim, the highest of the high. I lived a good life. What do you call this? Saint of Killers just looks at him in the first frame looking like Eastwood and goes, a good start. And he's just got that same vibe to me.
Yeah, he was. So from a prosthetics point of view, with his nose,
Cut his nose off.
Did he
cut his nose off.
he can, act with a little green sock.
Oh yeah,
on his
like
nose,
a little,
the entire
pouch.
time.
Yeah, I watched the behind the scenes of the makeup.
Yeah.
Like Voldemort.
I saw a picture where it's basically all the makeup, and then the tip of his nose is just left to its own.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
it's not even green. They're just sticking out of all the prosthetics.
But like we say, yeah, he's the only character we get the pre-war flashbacks with at this point, early on at least.
I loved the fun explanation as well.
Dad.
Like how if you could see the bomb, like the outline of the bomb, like it's too late. Don't bother running. I thought that was just perfect. Like the fun.
There's so much around the thumb because earlier on in that scene as well, they're like, "Oh, go on, do the thumbs up," and he's like, "No, I don't want to do it." And so there's so many layers of thumbs up. But yeah, like this is when he's like fading Western star Cooper Howard. So immediately you're interested in him because, like, in the opening scene, he seems like the caring father. But then you recognise him later on. You go, well, he's a ghoul, and we want to know his story. We want to know what happened to him over the last couple of hundred years and how he becomes this kind of wasteland gunslinger. I love it later on, like his big thing, like the look on his face when he overhears his wife saying, "Well, we'll just drop the bombs in." I remember your tweet you put out, Marie, about what's something? Well, you say because I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was about what a big corporation like starting nuclear war just to make profit.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Yeah, that sounds like a far-fetched story, but it's not.
Yeah, that's depressing.
Hooray!
But that moment was when I actually kind of got on board in the show. To be honest, for me, it was a very slow burn.
It's like
and
the second to last episode.
Yeah, Exactly. No, it was I think episode 5 or something. I mean, I was enjoying it, but I wasn't like vibing with it perfectly. And then when that moment happened, I was just like, oh, okay, that's a good twist. I like where this is going. But yeah, it was an immediate love with me in Fallout.
I gotta say, with me, once they chopped the guy's head off with a chainsaw, like Lucy of all people was just like, okie dokie, and then and I'm like, okay, I can get into this. It's the kind of just tells you like, as much as she was sheltered, she just realized, okay, this is how the world works out here, so she's ready to go. And I'm like,
I don't think it's that. I think it's she looks at that body as the only, or that head is the only way she's getting her dad back. Like it's necessity, which is the mother of invention, which is how most people turn. Like,
well, that's that. Jose, you've brought us on to the next character I'm going to talk about, which is Ella Pennell's Lucy. So we get Jackie from Yellow Jackets gets her own lead role, and once again, yes, it's another English actress, Jose, stealing an American's role, and she plays a plucky and positive can-do Lucy McLean. And is she any relation to John McClane's daughter? I just had this weird kind of Fallout Die Hard scenario in my head.
Amazing,
Lucy McLean, because isn't that his daughter's name in the Die Hard films as well?
Lucy McLean, yes, correct.
Played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yes, one of the actresses.
Now you can talk about your love of Lucy, Jose, but keep it, not creepy.
PG-13.
I just did a little bit of research on her, and she's actually surprisingly.
It's already creepy.
It's too late, man. I did a little bit of research on her.
She doesn't have.
I could
too
describe
much
her
film.
feet in detail.
Oh my god! Why'd you go to the?
I say Tarantino.
It's the creepiest thing.
You had to take it there.
Yes, I don't know, get a feet thing, but anyways, she's a school bully in Kick-Ass 2, so like she's just a little bit part there.
Wasn't her first big role? She was a lead in Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children.
That's actually well, I guess as the main character, yes, because I was going to say the next character she played was the teenage version of Angelina Jolie in Maleficent, but that was actually quite a small role as well.
Yeah,
and then the Peregrine movie, which I did not watch honestly, so I don't know her from that. And then one of the more recent film roles was as Dave Bautista's daughter in Army of the Dead.
That's it. Yeah,
the really annoying character that we were all like, no. But then on TV, she actually had some really great success as a voice actress. Also, Yellow Jackets, how you mentioned, she was a character there, main character in the first season, and recurring roles apparently in the second season. I haven't watched it. But also Arcane, she's a voice actress in that.
I think Marie wants to talk about.
I was waiting for you to mention Arcane. I was like, you better mention Arcane.
I'm getting there. But then also,
I want to see what would happen if you hadn't mentioned Arcane now.
Ooh. She actually had an interesting, like, small appearance in the second season of Invincible at the end, where she plays an explorer who wakes up a known villain in the comic named Cahor. Cahor. No, yeah. So there's actually a lot of potential for her to be a character in the next season.
Well, you know who she reminded me of? The Silk Spectre from Watchmen. The
Malin Ackerman.
Yes. Yeah. She, like, I was just like, is that, like, are they related? Like, she's got that kind of vibe. They look kind of similar.
I
was like,
big eyes. Is that what it is?
I mean, she has eyes.
Malin Ackerman's Swedish because she was hosting Eurovision.
I was about to say I saw her last night and she was hosting Eurovision.
What?
Yeah,
everyone was like, "Why do we recognise that person slightly?" And it was she was hosting Eurovision because she's Swedish, and obviously Ella Pennell's English, but she plays American so often that I feel a lot of people don't realise.
Yeah, she reminded me of Mila Kunis.
I see it a little bit.
If we're going,
you're completely wrong.
In her voice as well, like I feel like her American, like
she's definitely got the same sort of sass as Mila Kunis.
Was trying to like.
Yes,
like when Mila Kunis sort of goes for it, which is my favorite like version of Mila Kunis when she like
Family Guy Mila Kunis.
Yeah, kind of, but also when like in Ted and stuff as well. When she's doing all that sort of stuff, I really find that like entertaining and fun, and she's really great at it. But like I would agree with David on that, like for sure.
Also, she gets one of the lines of the year from any TV show when she literally turns around to Nobbinus at one point and says, "Do you want me to make your cock explode?" Which I spat out what I was drinking at that point. It was like a proper spit take, and I had to change my shirt.
That's really funny.
I couldn't believe that.
The whole scenario with sex in that show is just insane because, like, I think in the first episode, the character plays her cousin. It's like,
yeah, there was some definitely some cousin sex going on, wasn't there?
Everyone just has sex with their cousins when they're young, but they grow out of it, and I'm like, what? That's so
it's so casual throwaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, Jose, what's your sperm count?
Yeah, good.
I did not expect that one.
I tell you what's bizarre. I can't remember. A show I just watched. What was it? I literally watched something in the last 2 days, and the guy who gets murdered, her like raider husband, who Carl McLachlan drowns in a bucket. That is already like the meme all over the place now of that guy being drowned in a bucket by Carl McLachlan. That's just everywhere. And the same actor was in a show I watched 2 days ago, which I can't remember what it was, and he gets murdered in one scene again. And I was like,
wow.
that's the guy from Fallout who got murdered, and it's just happened again.
So it's
at
at
least
least the new Sean
At least
Bean.
this time he got laid. I mean, he's working his way up the ladder. I mean,
There we go.
a little bit rapey, but you know,
Wow.
I don't know. It's just that whole thing. I was just like,
Do you know what I
damn
didn't
it.
spot? Like, you knew someone was off in the first episode, but it's only when I watched it the second time I was like, oh god, they're so obviously raiders from the second they walk in. And I just didn't click the first time I was watching it, so I was just like, I was enjoying it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's
I've got a question.
Oh, yeah.
If Vault 20, no, what Vault was it again?
31.
31. I think.
31. Yeah. So
32.
if they're all meant to be from so if the overseers of 32 and 33 are meant to be from 31 for the both of them, how did Hank not know that any of these characters weren't?
Good, they're supposed to be. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if they. I think
at
they
that
just
point.
communicated via like email. I don't think they like spoke.
Like use their Pit
So-
Boys.
Yes, yeah. It was. I thought it was like an email machine, wasn't it? Like they just like vault to vault only, like overseers eyes only, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Although I'm
like
curious is how they cleaned the vault up so quickly.
I don't think it was cleaned up. Oh, what I mean after
it-
the attack.
Oh no,
at the
they
beginning.
they had cleaned up 32 after you attack it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I think the
I'm-
little
I'm-
brain came in there and just did it overnight.
the little brain.
Just, bumped into a few walls on the way, but
Yeah.
An evil Roomba.
Maybe they just defrosted people and they say clean and then froze them again.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did that
yeah.
if I was an evil brain on a Roomba.
But that is actually a good point. He should have recognized her because he blew up the town. Like Lucy's dad should have recognized the head
Should have
raider.
read Moldova,
Yeah.
because they know they
Yeah.
know each other.
What if he was already in on it and he knew he had replaced 32 and give with the access codes and stuff? Because it's Lucy's mother's access code that's used to open the door that you find out later on.
No, he wasn't in on it.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where she got that code from.
Yeah,
If
I mean
it-
Hank's dodgy as, isn't he?
Yeah, like he's very old as well.
But
like,
he thought he'd nuked the mum, right?
The shady
Yeah.
hands,
So even though her Pit Boy being used to open up the door, even that should have been like a red flag to him, right?
unless he knew.
Unless you
Yeah,
knew.
unless he's inside it. Yeah. And this is going to be developed further on. We're going to figure more
I
revelations.
think there's a
yeah.
lot of development potential here for
Yeah, they're
for
not
layers.
they're not like chucking everything at the wall. I think they know. I think they were as confident as you can be that the show was going to be a hit, and that they didn't have to like throw everything at the wall on the first season. I mean, I love the early use of a stim pack in it, like when she's like obviously been stabbed a little bit by her husband on the wedding night. Not the best wedding night
As
ever.
you do. Yep.
I feel like these stim packs are they supposed to like be magical elixirs that heal all? Because that's
essentially what they are in the games. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
In a
that's similar
fantasy
to
game,
it,
it'd be a magical elixir, Jose. But
Yeah.
here it was just like super strong medicine.
I feel like with Maximus when his knight died, like he was pretty damaged, and so all he had to do was stab him with that,
Stim pack.
and he was supposedly going to survive. Although, how dumb do you have to be to
Very dumb.
insult the guy who's about to revive you and threaten him with death before he's done it? You know, it's like, oh, I'm dying. Give me the stim pack. Oh,
I'll
you're
kill
also
you.
gonna
This is
And then-
your fault.
so I can
and,
kill
like,
you.
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, you're so much trouble. I'm like, okay, no, thank you.
Well, let's hold off on Maximus. So, anyone else? Any other comments about Lucy?
Her naivety did grind on me a little bit, I'll admit. But I'm interested to see where her story arc goes, because her story is the narrative of her story basically drives the entire show, right? It's her looking after her dad, and then everyone's going for the head. So yeah, for the wider part, it's her narrative that drives the first season. Hers sort of wraps up her story a little bit.
Yeah, but it's now turned into a different
then
direction, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
now?
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
where that direction goes is the more slightly more interesting one out of the others, because it's more open.
You can track her character arcs by the way she says "okie dokie" as this show goes on. Like, episode 1, it's "okie dokie," like super happy. Then it's a little bit more "okie dokie," and then by the end of it, it's like when she says "okie dokie," people are going to die.
I have to say though, hers was a pretty realistic ramp. Because like at the end, when she found out her dad was a bad person, she was just still in shock. She didn't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to turn into a badass now." You know, it's like
It's for the people that hadn't played the games. Is she the character that you projected yourself onto the most because she's the person that's exploring the world as the viewer is for the first time?
Yeah, I think she is. She was
She
definitely
is.
She's the one that I anchored my experience to, like because she's the one that threads all of those worlds together. She's the one that meets not only the ghoul but gets the head and meets the knights and gets to the final boss. So I think that she weaves all those worlds together quite nicely, and that's the person that I sort of like emotionally imprinted on as I was going through this journey with her, and the dog.
I was about to say I didn't relate to any of them except for the dog.
Early on.
The puppy killing in that second episode. Oh my god,
I'm
guys!
so
I
glad.
nearly had to turn it off. Like there,
Same.
that was it.
So happy I'm so happy it
Did you
came
just
back.
cover Cheddar's eyes, David?
Don't look funny. No, if anything, I told him that'll happen if he keeps bloody barking. Incinerate him.
That took a turn.
Yeah, it did, didn't
Now
it?
we know someone else who Marie wants to die on the podcast.
Yeah, don't bark around David. My God.
Oh, he's been a nightmare today. You have no. Have you heard him
Sounds
in
like
the
poor
pod?
training.
He's running up and down here barking.
no, not
It's
at all.
because the army barracks are shooting. It's a whole story.
Where the
He
fuck
doesn't
do
like.
you live?
He doesn't like gunfire. Like yeah.
You live somewhere between Philly and New Vegas, David.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when the bombs drop. It's loud
Oh my
bangs.
goodness.
Not
It
his
just sounds like a
favourite.
sensible dog to me. I think you're the one being out of order.
Random incinerations. Jesus. Okay, let's move on to what I think is definitely going to be Marie's favourite character. Let's talk Maximus, played by Aaron Moton. And yes, I initially thought Maximus was the absolute weakest character of them all. But then I liked that once he got the power armor and meets Lucy, and then he gets his Johnny Pemberton's Thaddeus as his squire, he kind of started growing on me a little bit there. Obviously, and we're all going to probably agree on this, I do not buy the shoehorned love story they were trying to do with Lucy and Maximus. It didn't feel earned at all.
Yeah, but that's the point, man. They live in this sheltered. Both of them have lived in this sheltered experience, and they're clinging on to each other through traumatic events. So their love story is built off trauma. It's not going to last. It's toxic as fuck. But that's
No
the
pun
idea.
intended.
But that's what I thought anyway. That is it's the trauma of all these events that are like bringing them closer and closer together. But neither of them have met anybody else. So
But he saves her by accident as well. Like he doesn't. He's not like intending to. He just like rocks up with his big hero moment and then goes flying off into another direction again.
Yeah, but that's part of that. That's part of that character's like lack of charm, isn't it? Like he gets the armor kind of by accident. He saves her by accident. He's sort of bumbling around like a bit of a fuckwit. So like,
Yeah.
by the time he starts taking credit for shit that he hasn't really done, you're sort of like, well, fuck this guy. So like, and I think that's part of the importance of that character. Is just like he might have the biggest, baddest suit of armor in the town, but he's actually underneath. He's kind of a coward, and he's a little bit like. So it's like, yeah, again, it's an allegory for like life, isn't it? Like where people project confidence and they're actually really unconfident underneath.
I did like how he kind of fails upwards, like throughout the show. Like no matter what he does, he seems to. Every time he tries to go and do the right thing, something will happen and he'll stop. He won't, and then suddenly he'll be in a better position than he was. And like I said, he let Titus die to get the suit, but hey, Titus was an even bigger dick than he was, and he was probably going to die anyway, right?
Who was the guy that played Titus, by the way?
Michael Rappaport.
Yes,
I only know him from like Phoebe's boyfriend from Friends.
Wasn't he?
had a
Wasn't he?
sitcom
he
back
was
in the day, didn't he?
Phoebe's boyfriend in Friends. I have to look now who this person
Hey,
was.
do
I
you
don't
want
know.
your mind blown?
Was he in like The Wire or something?
He's a stand-up comedian for sure.
Yeah.
But here's a fun fact. He's actually been in many hip hop and R&B music videos as like the random white guy.
I did
And
not
that's
think you were going to say that, Jose.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of fun music videos, just like as a little cameo, and you're like, hey, that guy doesn't belong there. So it's really fun to yeah. But
He was in Deep Blue Sea. I remember him in Deep Blue Sea. He was in True Romance.
He was Phoebe's boyfriend in Friends. He was the police officer.
I was right. He hasn't aged. He has got the Paul Rudd thing going on. But yeah.
I thought Phoebe's boyfriend was a police officer.
Yeah. This is him. Yeah, one of the
The one
people.
who
She
shot a
moves in
bird.
with him, and then she shoots. Yeah. And that's the
Oh
end of it.
God.
He's a dick in that as well.
Yeah. I don't think his death was earned. I think we needed him to be more of a dick.
Yeah.
It was just way too quick. Like, just like Maximus just like flips and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna kill this guy now. Like, it just didn't make sense.
I think that's what the point of the show is. It's just like people just die. There's either earned or not, character development or not. People are just gonna die. Like the lady at the store, she was like interesting, but then like we don't see her again.
Yeah, but I think Marie's point stands because that's quite an important death. He's like, without that guy dying,
he doesn't get the suit.
He doesn't get
kick his
the
storyline
armor
onwards.
And you want to feel like that suit of armor is deserved. If someone's going to step into that suit of armor, you want to feel like, yeah, you know what, he's actually earned that. Like he's taken a lot of shit from that guy, or like he's had to do a lot to get it.
I'll tell you why it works though. Is a little bit, not 100%. It doesn't work fully, but the second he's got the suit and Thaddeus gets sent to him, because although Thaddeus bullied him when they were at the camp before he got sent out, he's then a total dick to Thaddeus the whole time. So he's just like, you're all dicks.
But isn't that that's a comeuppance thing? I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, it is also the essence of his character being a little bit spineless.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the courage to. That's like Neil's pointing out. He's spineless. He's a complete twat.
Although,
fair enough, you guys win.
If you kind of look at it in reverse, I feel like the guy that died, what's his name? What's his name? Crap.
Titus.
Which one?
Titus. The actual Titus. He died because he ran away from the bear. So I feel like it's almost like he is a coward too, and so it's all a front that the armor is being used
David,
for.
I got to say, when that attack happened, did you think deathclaw? And then you're slightly disappointed when you see it's a bear.
Yeah. I was a bit. Yeah.
Holy shit, it's a deathclaw, and it wasn't. It was a bear.
I feel like everyone they knew what they were doing there with the claw marks, everything. They knew what they were doing. Yeah.
So here's a question then: with these beasts, was the one in the water something from the game, or is that original?
Yeah, that's a gulper. And that was a lot bigger than anyone I've ever seen in the game as well. There's like these giant... I mean, basically, in the game, think of any kind of insect or small animal and just make it... because of radiation, they're now gigantic and will eat you. That's essentially
Did we
what the game
see it? Did we see a red roach? They're like one of the more like common...
The
roaches? It's the first thing you meet in the game, isn't it?
Really, is it? It's a red roach. It's just a massive cockroach, essentially.
We saw more than one. Remember, he was stuck in the suit, and she saved him from the cockroaches.
Oh,
that was it. They were the red roaches.
Yeah, that was the point. Yeah.
And then the dog also killed one, but that was in the dark.
There you go.
Yes.
So, we haven't seen the rad scorpions yet, which are just giant
scorpions.
Scorpions, yeah.
Scorpion doesn't do it enough like justice. They're like gigantic. They're like the sizes of like 5 tanks put together.
But are they scorpions?
But they're scorpions with radiation.
Just checking.
But it's the size. The size.
All right, get it. As big as a house. Fucking hell, it's still a scorpion.
They would fuck you up, man. I'm just saying. They would fuck you up.
Yeah, it would.
Is it really that easy to become a ghoul, or is that kind of like an interesting situation?
It's not really explained as much in the games.
It's exposure radiation, isn't it? It's
it's a slow exposure over time. So, like as we see, like the ghoul, as Walt Goggins' character, he keeps taking injections of stuff, doesn't he, to slow the process? So he must have had a bloody good supply over the 200 years. And, and like I say, we still don't know yet why it's took him so long to turn. But one other thing on Maximus reminds me of a little bit at the end when they're like, hey, he killed the bad guy. Yay. And I was like, oh, that is like Bruce Campbell in Army of Darkness levels of just like, except he hasn't got the cockiness of it. He hasn't got like the verve of it. Like Bruce Campbell now, Ash would just be like, yeah, I killed it. Yeah, I'm awesome. And then like Maximus, but they did that kind of similar panning overhead shot where he's like, no.
What did you think of Aaron Moten's performance?
I think it's fine.
9 out of 10.
I thought it was a lot of underacting. It was a lot of like eyes, his mouth like movements, because it was a lot of just like plain, because his face was a lot
like how fake work.
Marie, you really didn't like him. Let's hear in a little bit more detail. Have we prepared a ditch for him?
Yeah. Dug him, ditch, wanted to punch him in the face. Yeah, one thing about the characters, because I went into this completely blind, I had no idea these were show originals. So I was just like messaging my friends who've played the games. I'm like, we're meant to hate this guy, right? Like I physically want to like punch him. Like it's just, it didn't work. Like I think we are meant to dislike him, because it sounds like I'm not the only one who's had this experience. So, but yeah, nothing really worked with him, and like his motivations weren't really clear. Like I think I get what they were going with him killing Thaddeus, but I think that needed a bit of build up. The love story was unnecessary. You raised some good points earlier, and I understand what they were going to, but I also have like useless, like unnecessary love stories and like action is like my biggest pet peeve. Like the story itself just didn't need a love story. She doesn't need it. She doesn't need a man. She doesn't need one, especially this one. Like, I mean, I think she had more chemistry with the ghoul. Like it's
Honestly, I would agree.
Everyone has more chemistry with the ghoul.
For me, I think most of the series I was just really annoyed by him, and it really didn't turn around for me, at least until like when he admitted to her he was a fake, and then I'm like, okay, he's trying, but then at the end he fails again forward by having everyone think he defeated it, like
Killed Moldova, and he's like, yeah, took out.
he's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's all built on lies, isn't it? His character arc's built on lies.
I know. Well, I've just realised the next thing I had written down was who's your favourite character and why is it the ghoul, but we've kind of done that.
I actually liked Lucy a little bit more.
Yeah, I like Lucy. Lucy's my favourite character.
More than the ghoul? Okay.
Lucy and the dog.
Like they're both great characters, but I feel like Lucy has more fun with her naivety. Just because like we are new to this world too, but we're not as naive to her as she is, where everything's supposed to be fixed.
I mean, I liked with her that I think her turn is quite sudden, but it's because, like she says in like episode 2 or 3, when she pulls that gun on the guy and he's like, "Oh no, please don't shoot me." She's like, "Look, I'm sorry, you might be a nice guy, but literally everyone and everything has been trying to kill me since I came out of the vault like a week ago." She's not. She's because we see in the vault that she's clever and she's switched on that. So the second she gets out there,
she's a badass. She's like trained in like 10 different martial arts and is like, and is a marksman and all this other stuff. She's fucking great. And so everyone's like surprised when she like gets on with it upstairs.
Well, the lady at the store was when she goes, "Vault dwellers, I thought all you dipshits died."
Yeah.
I like though in the beginning, that first episode, the intro was her being interviewed, and that was how you kind of learn about her. So if you remember that part when she starts fighting, you're not completely surprised.
Yeah, because you have that bit where you see her do the MMA bit and like break some guy's arm or something like that.
Yeah,
before the cousin sex. Or the mentions of the cousin.
I really liked Norm.
Cousin's called Chet.
I was about to say Norm. Like, there's not enough Norm love going on. Like,
well, I was surprised they went back to the vault. I was happy about that. I was like, "Oh, great, we're going to see more." Because yeah, he's a very small actor, though, isn't he? I looked at Norm, was like, I don't know. There's something off about him. Like, I don't trust Norm yet. He's still though.
It's his face.
It's his face. Yes. It's just.
But that thing I think was great casting. He was meant to look, I think, a bit weaselly and small. And like every time you cut back to the vault, you're like, okay, why are we here? But then I think we've slowly clued in. Okay, the vaults aren't all like the vaults aren't. There's something going on with the vaults.
Also, who thought he was going to poison all the prisoners instead of someone else?
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was definitely going to poison everyone.
They sow distrust with every character. Like they've taken a page out of like early Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, where you get to know everybody just a tiny little bit, and you're just like, well, I don't trust any of these motherfuckers. Like this is wide open for everybody to fuck it up for everybody.
Well, and obviously the main one out of them all is Hank.
Hey.
I mean, like, great cast. I'm just so glad that in the next series, hopefully, Carl McLachlan have more to do, because so many shows and movies have him in it for being that short role as Carl McLachlan, and I just can't wait to see him be a full-on baddie in the second series.
You don't cast a guy like that for a bit part like that. Like
he has been a lot though recently, hasn't he?
But I mean, yeah, he has. But in something like that, it was like there was no one at his level in that vault, like no one of his gravitas, should I say? So like when he was like when they like took him away, I was just like, well, we're going to see him again. Like he's going to play a fucking much bigger part in this. And then the flashbacks happen. You're like, oh yeah, there he is, fucking great.
Yeah.
One other character, as we're on the vault, let's talk vault characters. I loved One-Eye Steph because she's a schemer.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
She's gonna be overseer like by the end of season 2, hands down.
She already is overseer, isn't she?
Yeah, she's already
overseer
of Vault 32.
Yeah, 32. Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah.
Oh, they moved
she won them all of them. Then I forgot that.
I think the other one-eyed vault dweller was old Dr. Spaceman from Spaceman from 30 Rock. Like he was so good. That was so funny.
Chris Parnell, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and they go to the alternate vault, and you see
Goosey McLean.
Yeah, that's just brilliant. When I saw him in it, I was just like, this is fucking wonderful.
Well, that's what I like about the vaults. Like where we find out at the end that all like the rich people who are running the vaults can, hey, look, it's your vault, do what you want with it. And like some of them are like run quite well, like Lucy's vault, and then others are just. I mean, I don't even think we've come close to seeing how horrific some of these vaults have been run.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
in the
they're all
game.
experiments, aren't they? That's what they said. There's an experiment on each vault. So what is the experiment?
Well, it
on
varies on
Lucy's
depending on
vault?
who's running it.
With Lucy's vault, I think it's no experiment. It's just reproduction. That's.
I don't know. Then why would they kill off an entire vault full of people?
They
They
didn't
didn't.
kill them
They
off.
didn't,
They
no, the
killed
regular
themselves.
vault,
Because there was the
So-
3 interconnected ones, Jose, wasn't it? So
But like, why would they kill each other then? What did they find out?
The way I understood it is that they basically killed themselves because they realized everything was a lie and there was no purpose of living. Like,
No,
or it
I
could have
think-
just been something experiment when they just literally drove people insane. Because I think when we saw, I got a bit of an Event Horizon vibe from some of it when they're going through it.
Yeah,
like,
I was saying like it was more like Firefly. Like something happened and everyone
like
just
the
went
Reavers.
crazy. The Reavers, yeah. That's the impression I got.
Nice Firefly reference, Jose. 10 points.
yeah.
Anyone that gets any Firefly reference gets 10 points. Well done.
Hey, you know who I wanted to see more and actually develop more was
Firefly.
Yeah.
the overweight vault dweller played by Zach Cherry.
Who really reminded me of his character from Severance as well.
Severance.
Yes,
It's
right.
like, you got to type, man. You got to type a role.
And I just want him to like be a little more scheming. I expected him to like kind of scheme a little more to be the main person.
No,
but he
Steph's the
just kind
schemer
of-
in the vaults, man.
Yeah, because I think it's only 31 that schemes. Other than that, everyone else is like doe-eyed and content with the world.
Yeah, and like you say, I suppose it's what vault you're originally from, and that's kind of something they obviously haven't looked at, because if you're in Vault 33 and everything's fine and dandy, but then you bring people from the other vault in where it's like being a shit show for growing up and all that stuff, and they're like, and I suppose they're like, right, they got it really good here. Fuck this, we're going to take it over from them. So yeah, there's like loads more down the pipeline on that as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope there's a Mr. Handy or a Snip Snip that joins the crew as like just the helpful robot dude.
Oh, yeah.
Snip Snip. I love Snip Snip.
As
Matt
long as-
Berry.
As long as he's
Oh,
voiced by Matt Berry, like,
I know. I was just like, is that Laszlo?
yeah.
What we do
And
in
you
the
know
shadows?
what? I saw a petition online for Bethesda to recast and have Matt Berry do retroactively do all the voices for all the robots in the games, because he's Matt Berry in my eyes can do no wrong. The man is fucking glorious.
The man
He
can
has
make
such a
words,
distinctive voice. Like
poetry,
He's-
just normal words.
He's our generation's the guy that I've just
Person who
completely
does words good.
he's our generation's man does good words.
Oh, like we did
Yeah, I
there.
know,
And
right?
I want more Mr.
Brian
Handy.
Blessed. I'm thinking of Brian Blessed.
Well, what I loved about him was like when we knew he was going to be in it voicing a robot, because there's that bit in the trailer. He's like, "I'm going to harvest your organs," which great, brilliant line. But then he's actually in it in a scene later on with, and I was like, "Yes, holy shit, we actually get him."
I love how they explained that as him being a voice actor for the machines.
Yeah.
That was so great.
Yeah. I love those like little bits of lore.
You know what they missed though? They missed a toast joke there, didn't they? Like he could have got a Clem Fandango joke in there.
Clem Fandango. Oh my god, that would have been awesome. I've loved seeing that. That's
Marie,
the
you look
highlight.
confused.
It was set in
I'm-
2070,
yeah,
2077.
Right, so another show Matt Berry did is called Toast of London, where he plays a jobbing actor, and he's always doing voiceover stuff. So again, they could have got a really nice little reference into there. And there's just this running joke with a guy in the studio, and the guy in the studio who records him is called Clem Fandango,
And he's an idiot.
and he's an idiot.
Push the button.
What do you want, Clem Fandango? It's like, hi, this is Clem Fandango. I know who you are. It's so much better when he does it.
Yeah, look up Toast of London. It's, if you love Matt Berry, it's probably his masterwork. And
Oh my
then they've done a
God.
spin-off show,
Year of
Toast
the Rabbit.
Tinseltown.
I'm telling you, Year of the Rabbit is Matt Berry's masterpiece for me. Year of the Rabbit.
But that
was
got cancelled after one season, and it was amazing.
yeah, well, that shows you what fucking idiots are running that network.
And they
that was
finished
Channel
with-
4.
Yeah, exactly. They probably had a hand in cancelling Firefly as well. Fuckers. I'm so angry that that Year of the Rabbit didn't get a second season. I fucking adore that show.
It was so
No,
good.
you were about to say you're still angry about Firefly.
Oh,
I was
no,
like,
I'm
we're
still angry
also
about.
angry
I'll
about
never get over Firefly. I mean, I'm taking that to my grave. Like even if they reboot it and like Nathan Fillion's in it, I'm just gonna be like, no, it's not good enough. You should have done it back in the day. You should have believed.
I mean, he had a good run with What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah. See, that's where I know
What do you
him
mean,
from.
run? It's still going, Jose.
Yeah, final
they
season
finished.
coming out
Is
this
it
year.
Final
no,
season.
it's
No,
season,
one more season left.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so it's official because I saw him saying goodbye at the end of the filming.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so moving on, where does this rank on the all-time video game adaptations? With most people saying Last of Us being at the top, and House of the Dead: Alone in the Dark being right at the bottom in a fiery pit of hell.
I'd say this is pretty up there, if not top 3.
Do you have your list to hand, Jose?
No.
Okay, I will go to someone else, and then you can have a little search. Who's got a list?
I'm just looking at mine now.
I think
Let's go to Marie.
like show-wise, I think like in general, I think it's like a 6 out of 10. Video game adaptation-wise, I mean, it's not like there's a lot of competition, although it's getting there. But I still think Arcane and The Last of Us tops it, just from story and production. I feel like this like slipped a bit into like what I like to call the Amazon Prime filter. I don't know. It's all like Amazon Prime shows have like this certain look about them, and sometimes it's shedded it, but like it still felt like that a bit. Like the sets were amazing, but then if you zoomed out, you would like notice there's nothing there. Like it's just like something felt like off. But yeah, so I would go like video game adaptations. I would go Arcane, Last of Us, and then Fallout.
What about The Witcher?
The Witcher, I was going to say.
Oh, see, The Witcher is such a unique thing. Oh god, no.
It's
because
a
The
video
Witcher
game
is also a book.
adaptation.
It's a video adaptation, but it's also a book adaptation, and it's I don't know. I'm very torn on The Witcher. I mean, like
I love season 1. I quite like season 2. I haven't finished season 3 yet.
I never watched. Yeah, I haven't watched season 3. I'm kind of
No one's
very
going to watch
angry.
season 4. You don't recast Henry Cavill with a shit Hemsworth. Sorry.
Have you seen the photos? Oh my god, no. I mean, Henry Cavill made that show. Like Henry Cavill made The Witcher, and without him, no. But I think it's the only redeeming thing about Witcher is Henry Cavill. So I would say Fallout is better than Witcher.
Well, on my little bit of research I was doing, a lot, like you say, a lot of the top rated ones, especially on places like Rotten Tomatoes, they were actually anime or like cartoon adaptations. So like, yeah, you had Arcane was number 1 pretty much everywhere. But then Cyberpunk Edge Runners based on the Cyberpunk video game.
Cyberpunk. Yeah, I forgot.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, Edge Runners is good. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the game. I had an Xbox Series X when it first came out. And so, like, it would only run on that system. Like, it wouldn't run on any older systems. So, like, 9 out of 10 people were just bitching that the game wouldn't run on their, like, older Xbox. Well, I can't even remember the model before now. And I was like, it's okay for me. It's not crashing at all. I'm really enjoying it. Keanu Reeves is fucking awesome in it. And, yeah, I love that. I love that game. I thought it was really good. But I have to watch that. Halo is kind of like bang in the middle, isn't it? Like,
no, I think Halo's towards the bottom. Like
don't insult me with your thoughts on Halo, the TV show.
Like, just touching back quickly on the anime. What about the Castlevania?
I've got Castlevania on my list, man. Yeah,
because I love that, and I thought it was brilliant. And I wasn't sure if we were going down that road of like anime stuff, but but that is one of my that's up there for me because it's like not only does it like visit a lot of the old like game lore. Like it's so retro and so old, and they do some really clever little bits of like nodding to the game and stuff, like certain areas of the game. And I just thought it was just really, really good all round.
You know, I think it is with animation. The budget on animation is obviously a lot less than live action in certain places. Not always, but
no, I mean, Arcane cost a fortune. Like,
but Arcane looks amazing. Like it looks,
and it took what was it 5 years that it took to make?
Wow.
Like, it's
did not
insane.
know that.
I think animation lends itself to be a better adaptation from video games because it's kind of in the same medium almost, to where live action you're limited by actual physics, because like one of the adaptations no one has mentioned is Twisted Metal with the TV
I was just about to bring that up. I love that show. I thought it was brilliant.
I've started it. I'm enjoying it.
It's so
but that's
so
obviously
good.
Took a really basic video game and just said, right, here's a starter point, and then we're just going to do what we do. We're just going to do what we want to do with it.
Exactly. They had to flesh out things, and so I think that's a harder situation. Kind of like, honestly, Fallout took the bones and then fleshed out its own story.
Yeah, because there was no real story in the game, so it wasn't like that big. Like I said, it wasn't that big narrative. With Twisted Metal, I'll tell you what it reminds me of. There was a show that Alan Mitchell did before Reacher, and it was called Blood Drive. And it was just like, only ran for one season. And it's like this grindhouse style futuristic thing where cars run on blood. and
What?
he's like a cop, and it's horrifically.
Oh man.
And I think like the Sci-Fi Channel made it or something like that, or some like low budget channel made it, but it was really fucking good. And then
Wow.
they'd set it up for the second series, and then it got cancelled, and he got cast as Regis. So hey, it worked out for him, I guess.
Well, okay. I thought you were going to mention something like a really far throwback where he was on this show called Blue Mountain State.
No, but we have mentioned that before, Jose.
Oh man, that is such a fun show.
It was an American football show, wasn't it? Yeah.
American football, college level players.
He was basically playing Stifler from American Pie in that show, Alan Mitchell, before he started.
You know what? I think he did a better version. Like once you look at his entire arc throughout that show, there you see a better character development than Stifler, honestly. But that's a whole other conversation.
I was about to say, and let's pull this back to David, who's been suspiciously quiet.
No, it's just I just echo what everybody else has said. I think The Last of Us #1, Arcane #2, I think Fallout #3, solidly #3, and then The Witcher 4, and then Castlevania. Actually, no, Castlevania I put 4, The Witcher 5.
Here's a question that I want to clarify these. Are we rating these in order for how much we enjoyed them or how much they represented the game's source material?
I
both?
didn't put that much thought into the
I'm
question.
going
to be
just
fair, mate.
enjoyment. Just pure enjoyment.
Enjoyment, yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's that many out there really that are worth really even mentioning. To be fair,
What, you're telling me you don't want to mention Knuckles, the Sonic the Hedgehog spin-off with Idris Elba? Come on. Yeah, it really is.
Resident Evil TV show, and
was
at
a
the
Resident
time
Evil.
I didn't hate it.
I'm just looking on my...
Thinking
just sorry,
back, it wasn't great.
talking completely over David. I'm really sorry, mate. But I've just noticed that Gangs of London is considered a video game adaptation.
how?
I have no idea. See, like I've just brought up a list of it. It's on Wikipedia because it's weird because it's in the ongoing section of this is Gangs of London Halo, which isn't correct because I think that's cancelled now, isn't it? Halo?
No,
Have they done it?
is it?
Is it or was it renewed?
I know it has 2 seasons.
Did season 2 already come out?
Yeah, it was better. I thought.
So that's the reason I asked that question is because I know people who actually didn't play Halo but enjoy the show, and so I feel like there is some bias towards.
My best
source
mate
material.
loves Halo, the games, and he thinks that the show is just like pissing on
An abomination.
It's an abomination. He's very angry about how they've mixed all the games together into one like thing, and they've all crossed over. But that list of ongoing adaptations is Gangs of London, Halo, The Last of Us, Twisted Metal, and Fallout. They're the only ones that are live and still going right now.
It's the Gateway franchise,
Okay.
apparently, which I've not heard of.
No, nor have I.
And bearing in mind,
So
again,
that is legitimate. Then that is a video game adaptation.
Yeah, 2006 video game.
Oh, there you
well,
go.
there you go. There you go, listeners. You learn something new every day because I'm sure none of us knew that was some Gangs of London was based on a video game,
Weird, yeah.
or you might have, and you're smarter than we are.
Which doesn't take a lot.
Or older.
I mean, there's also the Angry Birds like cartoon.
Oh.
and
You're this
things
close
like
to
that.
getting a yellow card.
Whoa, let's not
Because
be.
you got yellow carded on the other podcast because he asked something stupid, and
Wasn't
I was like,
there-
that's a yellow card, I say.
Wasn't there a Gods of War thing on as well? There was a Gods of
No,
War
that's
show.
being made, isn't it? Or it's being planned.
Is it being made? Ah,
being
all right.
made, being planned?
Earthworm Jim, the cartoon from when I was a kid.
You're right.
Fucking brilliant. That's going on my list. That's so good. You guys carry on. I'm just going to entertain myself.
What about Mario cartoon show from the 90s?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Right, and bringing it back. What's one video game series do you want to see given the Fallout adaptation treatment?
Oh, I want to say this right away. Sorry.
Jose.
Um,
No, that's not the right answer.
crap. The one where it's. Oh, I told you guys already.
All right, I'm going to come back to you in a minute, Jose. You remember the name of your show that you really want to talk about.
He's so desperate. He's like that kid in class. It's like, ask me. Yes, Ben, what is it? Oh, I forgot.
I see it in my brain, and the name just got ripped out. It's like the one based underwater. It's retro.
Bioshock.
Bioshock. Yeah,
Bioshock.
that's what you're after.
I feel like BioShock would make an insanely good TV show if you could get the
Yes.
mood right.
Anyone else familiar with Bioshock?
Nope.
Yeah, Bioshock Infinite. Oh, the ending of that game is still like with me. It was so good.
All right. So for, I think, Marie and Ben, Bioshock, it's kind of got a similar aesthetic as Fallout games, a lot more underwater based. But the trailer for the first Bioshock game that come out maybe 15, 20 odd years ago now, it was a long time ago. it as one of the best video game trailers I've ever seen of all time. You see this little girl being chased by this giant hulking guy in a robot suit. Oh no, he's going to kill me. Help me, help me, help me. And then it turns out the little girl is like some evil. Do you know what? I've completely forgotten the bloody. I just remember there was a brilliant twist at the end of the trailer.
Adam, doesn't she? So she's the big daddy protects
Save
the
me,
little
David.
girl. Yeah.
That sounded.
It's called a big daddy. The thing that you was going on about, and the little
robot suit.
girl. I can't remember the little girl's name, but she extracts Adam from humans, and Adam's what is powers people. I think. It's been a long time since I played that game.
Yeah, basically, you think this big robot monster is trying to kill the little girl. The little girl's getting away, and then the little girl was actually the monster. And the guy in the suit's then trying to get away from the little girl. And it's a really good. I was like, that is better than most movie trailers today. Still,
Nice.
And it's got the effect. I wouldn't be surprised. Fallout's a big hit. BioShock is. I actually said that Netflix has got the rights to BioShock, which fuck. But also,
Yeah.
I think they're planning to do it as a trilogy of movies as well, which.
Movie, I think I could see it as a movie.
It's good, like Infinite, mate. BioShock Infinite.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I loved it. The whole religious aspect of that, and BioShock Infinite wasn't set underwater; it was set in the clouds.
In the air.
And
So it was zeppelins and proper steampunk. Yeah.
It was honestly that's one of my favorite games. Infinite, I loved it.
Yeah, it had a beautiful look to it.
The
and
story,
really...
that would be more of an adaptation along the lines of The Last of Us was, where the
story's
story's
stronger,
there and set for you, and you've just got to go out there and do it. Whereas, like the Fallout game, the sandbox is there, and you've got to create the story around the sandbox.
Yeah.
So two very different video game style of adaptations.
Anybody else?
Yeah, obviously. It's only used good so far, Jose.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one.
My God,
I was so excited.
Will you ever learn?
I'll never learn.
There's some sort of digital gap between like us finishing words and Jose starting them. It's like it just takes a little bit of time to get across the ocean there, and all of a sudden we try and start a bit, and Jose's just like, "I got a new microphone."
And Marie, what one video game series would you like to see given the Fallout treatment?
Well, I think there's only one right answer to this. That is Mass Effect.
Oh,
Nice.
Yes, I love that. I was thinking of that. That is so good.
It's so good. The story, the lore. I honestly am surprised it hasn't been adapted. I think Amazon currently hold the rights, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, Henry Cavill teased something like years ago because he's a massive Mass Effect fan. And
yeah, he's doing the Warhammer thing at the moment, isn't he? So I doubt he'll be.
No, this was ages back, so I don't think
2001 Amazon had the rights, and then they announced it, and then nothing happened.
I love Henry Cavill, man. Henry Cavill's just like the dude. He's like, give that, just let that man make whatever he loves because he just loves all things nerdy.
he's the world's biggest nerd. Yeah,
and he looks like he does. He's just sculpted by gods, and he's just like
it's a bit unfair, isn't it?
Did you see the pictures of him at school that they put online recently?
No,
when he was younger.
No, but I do know his nickname was Fat Cavill.
Yeah, he was
What?
He was a chubby little nerd. He was a proper bully, chubby little nerd, which is why he looks like he is like now. Like he got sick of it and just went to the gym, and then became
Superman.
Literally became
Superman. Like
Literally,
Sarah the
literally
Revere.
Superman.
That is the rags to riches story that we all love.
I freaking love him, man.
Although he has like 4 brothers that all probably bullied him too, so he like had a tough upbringing.
And now he owns their houses.
Yeah.
He probably bought their houses to be
He played the long game.
All right, so here's a question with Mass Effect: do you want to be Shepard as the main character, or do you want like something out in the world of Mass Effect?
I want Shepard, but I want Jane Shepard.
Ooh. Okay. That's one of those games that it doesn't really matter.
Is that really a surprise, guys? I mean, everybody was like, "Oh," I was like, I probably should have seen that one coming.
I only played the first Mass Effect game, and I can't remember a lot of it. I know it's really bad. That's one of the like the holes in my gaming, which I didn't play. So can you explain? Because I think it got really good, like 2 and 3, right? Or 2 was really good.
2
really
is
good.
amazing. 2 was such a good game, and then 3 that kind of fucked it up. I'm on that like train.
Yeah.
Like the
I
Mass
started
Effect
3
ending.
and I never finished it.
I mean, it's worth a finishing. And I think now over the years, like the ending of 3 stings less. But
I think Andromeda
Didn't they
probably
do a fourth
killed it.
game? Which was
we don't talk about Andromeda. We don't talk about that.
I actually forgot that's what it was called. I was like, was there a fourth?
It's like, we don't talk about that one. That's
No, it doesn't
redheaded
exist.
stepchild.
The Reapers came and destroyed it. It doesn't exist.
I mean, there you go, Ben. There's characters called Reapers in it, and it's a space one.
Yeah,
it's set in space. You follow a space crew, Jane or John Shepard, but Jane is the superior. You follow the crew of the Normandy, and it's the space adventure where you like learn this like massive conspiracy that is going on in the universe. And I love lore. I love lore. I love a good story, and I think people like Mass Effect's gameplay is not like revolutionary, but it's the story and it's the characters that like hit you hard. Like, if you follow me on Twitter, you may know that there's one character that I love to death, and he is my space boyfriend, like Garrus Vakarian. That is one sexy alien, in my opinion. So
to be fair, they made all the aliens sexy in that game. Like you can
thank you.
You can have relations with all of the aliens. It's insane.
Garrus is a dude, though.
Garrus is awesome.
Honestly, I'm going to explain for the listening viewers exactly what's happening right now. Is every single person on my screen right now is like doe-eyed and imagining their favorite alien like sex that they've had in this game. You can see it literally. If we put the video out of this, you'd be able to see like the wistful like looks that they've all got in their eyes, going, "God, yeah, I remember that." Like that three-tongued villain. Oh my goodness me! Like, it's ridiculous. You guys are living your best digital lives right now. This is great.
David,
I have a few.
you get one.
I get one.
That's
I have a few. The From Software games, so like Elden Ring, Bloodborne, or like any of the Dark Souls. Again, because of the sandbox and all the lore is there, and the sandbox is there. Just a decent story, the right team involved. There you go. Everything's there for you. I feel like that's just primed, waiting for someone to come along and do. I'll make that number one, and I'm assuming you're going to go into another Bethesda game.
No.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay, so I'll also mention Oblivion.
You mentioned Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. Any of the Elder Scrolls games, I love them.
Actually, briefly on Elder Scrolls, I'll mention someone put a tweet out a little while ago saying, with Fallout being a big hit, what other video games? And that guy's tweet, someone we've follow on Twitter, got 6.7 million views.
Wow!
And my comment underneath was like, well, I guess Elder Scrolls would be a good shout because it's from the same studio that made Fallout. And that got, I think the last time I checked, that tweet was up to about 125,000 views. It actually got us 4 new followers. Yay!
Yay! Welcome, followers.
And then almost every comment underneath was people just being dicks about it, going, well, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, it is proof that if you get a really popular post on social media, it is almost all trolls and bots that respond to it, because that's basically what happened. Everyone was saying, "Oh well, Todd Howard said." I was like, I don't care. The show, the guy who created it, I don't care what he said weeks and months ago. Fallout's come out now. It's been a massive hit for Amazon. Everyone's going to be looking at that studio's other properties, and the Elder Scrolls. It's really similar. It's just the fantasy version of Fallout. It's literally saying all these different sort of tribes and guilds, and you don't need to have. And again, there isn't really a massively strong narrative in it. You could just, Skyrim was what? How long ago was that now?
2008, I think, but it's had like 50 different remake anniversaries, like remasters. Yeah, 2011 it was. Sorry, not 2008.
Yeah, was it? They only started making the new Elder Scrolls last year, which means to wait for Fallout 5, you're going to have to probably wait about another decade. I'm going to be in my nursing home, playing one of these games at one point.
Actually, here's
that's the noise I'll be making as well, Ben. Yeah.
Here's a question I have for a game I don't think anyone is expecting. Grand Theft Auto. Do you think you can make a show about that?
No, they've made a movie.
It already exists. It's just America.
The new game, the new trailer for that game, might as well be a movie. Is what I was trying to say there, whilst I was reading something else on my screen. Because, and to be fair, Marie's quote isn't too far from the truth.
I mean, Jose, you're the one that lives there.
Notice how I
you
didn't
just get your
disagree.
camera out, just film
Yes.
outside, and then turn it into a documentary, and then there you go.
Yes, as the one American, I didn't disagree. So enough said right there.
Wow.
What's this movie though? What is this movie? I don't know what's
No,
going
it's
on.
not. Ben got it wrong.
No, I was half reading something else. I was trying to research my
video game
Top video game adaptation.
Yeah.
What, you didn't come prepared?
And as I was talking, I pretty much read what was on the screen in front of me and went, "No, hang on,
You went
that's
full
not
Ron
what you're trying to
Burgundy,
say
didn't
there." Oh yeah, we went full Ron Burgundy. And I'd really appreciate if Neil edited that out, but it's not going to happen. So I'm fucked. I'm going to look like an absolute idiot to the 3 people that listen to this podcast.
Hey, there's at least 7 now. All right.
7.
Well, Ben, you finish your research. I will say my most anticipated, the video game that I would love to see as a show, Dead Space.
Ooh,
That'd
yeah,
be cool. Yeah.
that's great.
I
That's
mean,
actually
that
great
is
choice.
a game that, yeah, it just lifts from Alien and Event Horizon. It has that religious overtone to it as well, which I really like. And I mean, the main character is called Isaac and named after Isaac Asimov, so that shows you like what the writers were after. And I love that the main character in the first game, he's not like a hero, he's not a space marine, he's a mechanic on the ship. And you start with a wrench
Yeah.
and like a little little torch gun welding tool.
Yeah,
Does that have the
that's
Halo
great.
sort of issue though? I can't remember in Dead Space. I played it like ages ago. Do you see his face?
Oh,
Because he's got his like helmet on the entire time.
Yeah,
Isn't
you
he, like,
don't see the
full
guy's
costume?
face.
So will
But
that have
I-
like the Halo sort of issue of
But
not?
I think it's not specifically like, whereas Halo, it was a whole big thing about our Master Chief and his helmet and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
I think
Yeah.
it's just this guy. It's his armor.
Yeah, I think you can get away with it in Dead Space. I think you could have whoever
Just
as
anyone.
the protagonist in Dead Space, as long as they're a mechanic and they wake up on a ship. And is it the Ishimura? Because the remaster of Dead Space come out again. So
I played the remastered, and it's basically them answering a distress.
that's it. Answering this distress call,
because things have been malfunctioning. They need repair, and so they just take it as a regular.
and then they get attacked by
scenario.
space zombies.
Yeah, and I
I mean, you
think
could just call it space zombies, and the only way to, and you can't just shoot them. You have to sever all their limbs off in the game to stop
Correct.
them coming for you, and then like stomp on their heads. It's spectacularly gory and violent. But I loved it.
honestly, it kind of reminded me of the movie Doom, but better. With The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it reminds me of Event Horizon, and on a
Yeah.
level, like I think that's one thing I'd love. I'd just love them to do a TV show of Event Horizon, and if they were really clever on it, you could have it multiple storylines happening at the same time. One where it's what happened to the original Event Horizon, and then one what happened afterwards of like the crew going out to get to rescue the people from the original film. You could just so many ways you could do it with a new cast.
Okay.
It's like the famous lost cut of a film is there was an original. It's like the urban rumor that there was such a horrific early cut of Event Horizon that people were being sick and like passing out and all this kind of stuff. So they had to cut back on the gore, and it was filmed in something crazy like just under 2 months, and then edited almost the same time because some big film, I think it was like to make way for Titanic or something, or some Titanic didn't come out when it was supposed to come out, and there was a gap, and they went, Can you get this one up done more quickly? And they were like, well, no, we'd like it. Doesn't matter. We're rushing it out. And it was rushed out. But ironically, it's probably that director, Paul W.S. Anderson's best ever film because he just made 7 Resident Evil films after that, for fuck's sake. I mean, I'm sure it's
in your voice.
like the first one was
Yeah.
fine, and then it
He's
just
crying
got
into
worse.
his swimming pool right now as he drives home in his Bentley.
Well, he's
Like-
married to
like-
Mila Jovovich.
Alice is like
Oh,
Alice
he-
isn't a character in the games as well, and she's like the main character of all the films.
Yeah, but and everyone was just like, why? Just how can you get a zombie? The
Sadly, getting it wrong,
zombie
yeah.
game
It's so good
wrong?
as well. The Resident Evil stuff, and they've all been bad as well. Like
They've all been
everything,
bad, Jose.
the TV show, the films, none of it's good.
Ironically, the games, so like Resident Evil 4 was probably one of the best games ever, but it wasn't really zombies. It was kind of this like parasite kind of thing in it. So, but hey, that would have worked. Ben, what
This
have you
guy.
got for us?
Hi. Well, I haven't
Played video games?
Played
That's
video
fine.
games in a really, really, really long time. But I do have a couple of ideas, and I won't like.
Is it Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic?
Ooh.
I mean, it should be. I do really like all of the new Star Wars games as well, but they're like, I don't think you need to remake them right now because
Star
We
Wars
have enough
is-
Star Wars.
because there's so much Star Wars. I like the game. I like the idea of Horizon with like the robot dinosaurs and stuff. I
Yeah.
think that could be really good fun. I don't necessarily think that's going to be like a thinking man's, like, fucking
As long as it's better than 65.
change the world. I mean, sure. But like, because I don't know much about the games, like I just love I kind of like the way they look, and I've watched my buddy playing actually when I go at his house actually. The one that I would pin my hopes on, like from back in the day when I used to game, would be Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
Like, which was just
Ooh.
like a banger of a game. There was one of the first games where you had to do like interactive stuff outside of the game. Like there was clues on the back, like case of the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You had to unplug your video game
Unplug your
controller
controller
and plug it
into the
and
second
plug it
port.
into the other socket so that the guy can't see your moves and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really deep dive onto some of that shit, and like I think that would be such a really good. I mean, like a limited series, like 3 or 4
If they
episodes.
did some clever shit,
like-
like with the interactive thing, like they did with Bandersnatch.
Oh yeah, like that would be anything like that would just be cool. Like what was the Black Mirror episode where you could pick your own ending?
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Bandersnatch. But didn't they do one with Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt as well?
Yeah, they did something similar with that.
Because there's not just the precedent of that. It does work, and you could do it in
Yeah.
other things. So if you did like a limited series with Metal Gear Solid, where like you could pick like Solid Snake's kind of like trajectory and stuff. I think
probably depends what Kojima wants to do with it, though. Whether he like wants to do a big action movie with it. I mean, or do you go like TV and really go into like the coolness, the things that made it like awesome back in the day?
Yeah, it's true.
Because if you get the wrong team behind it, it's just going to be generic bad action spy film.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be Doom all over again, or something even worse, which is horrendous to think about.
Do you know what? I didn't mind Doom. I mean, I watched it again a little while ago.
Yeah, but like then I've got Max Payne written down here. With that. I mean, that is bad. That is bad. But do you remember when we were talking about the Mario Brothers movie, one of my favorite movies of last year, and we talked about spin-offs from that and Nintendo making their own universe?
Yeah.
Like, would Legend of Zelda be better as a TV series?
Yeah, 100%.
Man.
Like, you could crush that, right?
I mean, I bet they
That would
try.
be-
I wonder how many years they've been working on trying to, especially since Mario Brothers hit massive. How do we do Zelda? How do we not make it shit? Oh, if we're on Nintendo, Metroid Prime.
Here's a question then. Do you do these as animations or live action?
Anything Nintendo, I think
Zelda-
you probably go animation.
I'd like to see it live action. I'd love to see it live action.
I
I'd
think
love to see
Zelda would be
like
great.
the world. I mean, with stuff like the volume and the way that you can really build worlds that are realistic now. Like, I think that you could do a really good like Legend of Zelda TV show, hour-long episodes, like 10-episode series, and just smash it out of the park.
And I think it would be great to do puzzles with the character, not just action and fighting. Like, really have him be in situations where he has to think his way out. That'd be great.
Yeah.
There hasn't been yet a video game adaptation of like a puzzle game where the characters have actually had to do clever stuff.
With Portal would make an interesting one. Has
I
anyone
think that'd be
played
a
that?
good limited series. That's a lot to try to extend.
I mean, I love the fact that in is it Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds movie, where he's got the portal gun, like just that little snippet for me was enough. I was like, people still love it. That's great.
Well, guys, bringing us back to Fallout, where does season 2 go other than New Vegas? David.
New Vegas. I don't know.
Amazing.
You've come to me unprepared here. Let's
I
stick to
am
somebody else,
shocked.
and then
You know that it was in the show notes, right? When you say you're unprepared, if you read
It actually literally
the
says.
show notes. I'm reading it. It says it right.
Jose
here.
had like a minor panic yesterday when I said to it when he's like, "Where's the show notes?" I went, "There are none. There's just 10 questions that you need to have answers for."
Well,
He was like, "How am I supposed to rip off all the things that you've said? It's my own."
I was like, "Do you know what? There's 5 of us on it. I don't need to do as much work this time."
so I
true.
feel like one character I think I want to see.
No, I want to know what happens to all 3 characters, Jose.
Well, I'll start with Maximus then.
What happens to Maximus?
Maximus, I think he keeps annoying us with falling forward and then just taking credit. No relation there. But I think he's gonna eventually come to a point where he might even have to sacrifice himself. That would be something really amazing to see. To kind of
Marie's nodding her head. She wants him to definitely die and sacrifice.
But I think he's gonna keep failing and pretending to be someone who he's not, and then he's gonna come to a situation where he's like, "This is where I can make up for all the stuff that I've been doing," and potentially it could either be just something where dies, but also maybe just something where he loses his status. But then at least he's a real person who's made sacrifices, and then
Okay.
I do have a thing for Maximus. I have. I did prep a
You
little
guys
bit.
are skipping right, or you skip to the next question.
I have a little
Like,
bit for Maximus. This is the second
you need
question,
to-
but this is the one I prepped
Yeah,
for. So this is the
you're
one I'm
asking
doing.
where the characters go in season 2.
It's the same similar thing.
No, it says where do you think our main characters will go and see? Like, you know,
This is what I'm saying. This is what I prepped for. This
Yeah,
Just combine them. It's the same thing.
one.
Oh no, I don't think we should. I think we should answer the question.
Like location-wise,
Location-wise, where do you think it's going to go? I think they're going to do a national Lampoon's European Vacation Fallout.
I think I'm hoping to see more factions. Then, okay, let's say
Oh, I didn't see
location-wise,
that.
I'm hoping to see more factions. So I'm hoping to see like you said, like earlier in the episode, like the Railroad, more of the Enclave, and maybe even create
Institute.
their own faction, which isn't the Institute, and maybe create their own faction, which maybe isn't in the game. I think that would be quite, maybe do something that maybe not completely draw on all of the games and all of that. And
Do you want to see the
something
Children
unique.
of the Atom, though, David?
Oh yeah, and the Children of the Atom, yeah. Glory to the Atom.
Okay, Jose, where were you? So you've just talked about Maximus. What about Lucy? What's her story for the next season?
Lucy, I think she's going to come into her own a little bit more, still being a little naive, but more willing to take action. Can I go back to the other question though? Because I didn't know that's what. The question
No,
was.
you ignored it the first time round. You
Where-
fucked it for yourself. You could carry on where you were. You weren't into it when I tried to bring it back to it a minute ago.
I didn't realize that was a separate question. Where are they going? They're going to San
Read
Francisco.
the fucking question.
We're not normally.
What is it with you two?
Sorry, we're not normally this mean to each other.
We
I mean,
really
normally we're
should be,
really
though.
friendly. I don't know what's happening,
No, that's not
and
true.
we're very
Marie's got issues.
prepared. We're
So I'm
very
just a bad
prepared.
influence.
I think they're going to San Francisco, even though I don't know any of the games. Because it's on the West Coast.
That's a good guess.
Okay.
Flowers in their hair.
That'll do. With flowers. Oh, lovely. Right. So
think
Lucy,
they're gonna go to
she's
Canada.
left to her own host.
They're gonna-
What else is she doing?
But yeah, I think she's gonna have to figure out a way to confront her father, and I think that's gonna be a great scenario to see him kind of try to talk to her after the fact that he now knows that she knows that he's just scheming.
No.
So like, will he try to still play for her love, or will he just be like a full-on villain at this point? And then she's gonna probably be more aggressive with him.
Because she's hanging out with the Ghoul. And the Ghoul.
Ghoul.
What's the Ghoul story?
I think I think what I already thought, he's going to be more of an anti-hero. I guess he was more just straight up villain before, but I think he's going to be a great anti-hero. He's lived this world. He knows you have to be tough and make hard decisions on a split second, like by killing people. But I think he's going to become maybe even a little more friendly, dare I say, especially with Lucy. So
Okay. David.
Maximus. I think Maximus might end up being a synth. That's going to be my throw out there random thing for Maximus, because we've not really seen him injured that I can remember, and the backstory of him as a child almost seems like an implanted memory, because it's only
Like it.
him as a boy sort of getting out of a fridge like Indiana Jones style.
Nuke the fridge.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Have you tried to count all the Indiana Jones Easter eggs in there?
Is there a lot more?
There's
Yeah,
loads,
I already
apparently.
picked up on the
There's
fridge.
loads. Apparently every single episode has got some sort of Indiana Jones reference.
Nice.
I haven't found them all yet. I'm
I
rewatching
didn't
it right
know
now.
that. I just thought the fridge was a thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Another reason to rewatch it. Yeah, so I think Maximus might end up being a synth. So, like, I think we already mentioned what a synth is, right? It's basically like Westworld, real life people as robots.
But we didn't mention it specifically. So in the game, Jose, one of the other factions is called the Institute, and they're basically like scientists and who make robots who look like people, and some of the people surviving don't like them. So they've got the whole robot racism thing going on in there as well.
Yeah, because it's just like
It's a bit Blade Runner.
it feels like an implanted memory, doesn't it? Like pretty That to me it felt like yeah, and well, like he's just with the Brotherhood, and I feel like the Brotherhood had like a bunch of synths made to
Because it's the same flashback every time with him,
yeah,
isn't it?
exactly, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Ah.
it feels like a forceful flashback. Yeah, so I think he's a
You
synth.
could be honest something, David.
I think yeah, Lucy. Sort of agree with Jose. I think it's going to be her slow deterioration as a character into a more of a villainous as her exposure to the world gets deepened, and I think the Ghoul and her
Exposure to
will
radiation.
rub off on each other, as Ben likes me to say. Yeah.
As Ben tried to stop you from saying, but carry on.
I think they're going to be doing a lot of rubbing. And
for the record, I did not say she turns villainous. Actually, so you're unique.
Oh,
with
sorry.
this one.
Okay, I think she's gonna. There's gonna be that deterioration, and I think she'll go one way, and the Ghoul will go the other way. So we'll see more humanity.
A classic double turn.
Yeah, so we'll see more humanity from the Ghoul and more inhumanity from Lucy as she's exposed to the wider world. Yeah, even more than she already has been. Yeah.
So I guess that covers your thoughts on the Ghoul storyline as well, then.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I think he's going to obviously, as Lucy's following her dad, like the original Muad'Dib. We're gonna find where he's heading to, and I'm assuming he's gonna lead them
So
exactly where the Ghoul wants
looking for
to.
Shalab Ghoul.
Yeah, straight to
The nearest sand dune you
wife.
can find.
Yeah, straight to the wife, and then the wife will and then so that's probably where he's leading off to, because obviously he's looking for his family. So I feel like he's got to find at least one of them, maybe at the end of season 2.
Oh, question: Do you
Okay.
think the daughter's going to be an adult or still a child when he finds her?
Uh-huh. Well,
I think she'll be
good
so.
question.
That's a good thing. So in Fallout 4, the whole story of Fallout 4. Spoilers for Fallout 4, everybody. Yeah. So the whole story is the bloke trying to find his daughter that gets
Son.
taken from him. Son. Sorry, son.
it's called
thank you.
Sean.
Yes, he is called Sean. Son, trying to find his son who gets taken from him, and in the end, his son ends up being an old man who's working for the Institute. But the whole game
Of
you
course he
think
would
you're
be
looking for a
because
child.
his old man's been on ice the whole time.
Yeah. So the whole time you think you're looking for a child, but you're not. It's an old man. So yeah, it could be
Wow.
because we're 200 years into the future. The daughter could be dead.
I actually had a theory. I've had a theory potentially, but it didn't work out. You know, Leslie Uggams, the lady who was the overseer of Vault
that's the
33,
daughter.
who Blind Al from
Yeah.
Deathclaw.
Oh yeah.
I wondered if she was the daughter, but then
Yeah, I had that as well.
Anyway, Marie,
Maybe.
what's happening to the 3 main characters in season 2?
Well, Maximum. I hate him so much I don't even remember his name. Maximus gets eaten by a gulper. Oh no, so sad.
I like that. I like that his death has to be really ignominious. It's like he just trips over a rock and dies in his own vomit.
Exactly.
It's
It's just gonna be irrelevant like he is.
His batteries run out in his power core and he just starves to death inside his suit.
See, that's even too slow. I want him gone quick. And yeah, but I agree with David. I think Lucy's character is gonna take a turn, and like her doe-eyed look of the world is gonna shift, and she's gonna be more towards the Ghoul. And then the Ghoul sees how much Lucy has turned, and then that kind of recognizes his humanity a bit. I feel like that's gonna happen.
Do you think she becomes the daughter he didn't? He's lost.
Oh
No, this is not Last of Us. I don't think this is a Joel and Ellie relationship. I really hope not.
Joel didn't cut off Ellie's finger either, so
No,
she got a new one pretty quick.
I know, but it's still a bit
no,
weird,
no,
isn't it?
I love that they did the finger thing with the different color. That was awesome.
Well, it's only what she had spare, wasn't it?
yeah.
It's like she could have picked her finger up and had the same one reattached. I don't understand why that. Oh, anyway,
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a symbiotic relationship, but I don't think it's going to be a friendship. I don't think. I wouldn't like to head that, because I think the Ghoul is too far gone to actually know the power of friendship, and but Lucy, I think, will have to go darker, because I think that's what the world of Fallout does. It turns you into a massive dick. Like it the world is so cruel, like you have to, and you kind of see that her like slowly adjusting to like the brutality of this world.
And we kind of covered it. I think they're quite intertwined, aren't they, Lucy and the Ghoul story?
I don't think their storylines in season 2 will be separate. I think they will be together for most of season 2.
Ben, fantasy book season 2 for me.
I'm gonna start with a Ghoul, because I think something that everybody is almost forgetting here is there's like the line in this first season where he's like, I just love doing it. I just love being the bad guy. Like, he literally lays it out for you flat, plain and bold. And he's like, I just fucking love doing it. He's not going to forget that. He's going to keep going. He's going to get worse. I think it's going to be one of those storylines where they go off all like pally, and they like, he's going to begrudgingly become like friends with her. She's going to be like, get meaner because of him. Something will happen. He'll find his wife and his daughter. One of them will get killed in front of him, probably by Lucy by accident, and then he'll go fucking nuts. I can't see a character like him being an anti-hero. He is just a bad guy that people like. And I think that that's really, really important for this show. If you start making this guy like who's had this really rough ride, because we've only seen half of his story in the flashbacks. Like, I'm like he's whatever turned him that way and then made him like become a ghoul and stuff. We still don't know that stuff. He's gonna find his wife, he's gonna find his daughter, one of them's gonna be dead, or one of them's gonna get killed in front of him. He's gonna go fucking batshit. And I think that Lucy's gonna learn a bunch of stuff for him and then break away and have her own adventure. I don't know that they are gonna travel with each other that much in the second season, because there's so much of this world to kind of to explore, and to have two main characters walking the same path, exploring the same worlds, cuts a third of the story out. So if you want to discover the secret, like different places and stuff, you've got to separate those two. Like, you just have to. Yeah, they'll come back together at the end, maybe. I don't know.
Well, don't forget as well, you need to make space for some new characters once, Maximus gets disemboweled by a deathclaw or something.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to die either. Sorry, but
I know that's a bit optimistic thinking of my part, but in my head canon, he's dead.
I mean, that's pretty aggressive, and I like it. He's going to head back off to base camp, and everybody's going to think he's the shit, and it's going to be him, as Neil said, stumbling upwards through the next season, just making mistake after mistake until like he does.
And I think the high cleric dude will like recognize he's full of shit, but I can control him by that.
But he recognizes that everybody's full of shit, and that's the type of people that he wants in those suits, so that he can manipulate them and move forward. I think that Maximus stumbles upwards into the high cleric's job at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna get to the top, and then he's gonna have a meteoric crash, and it's and that's where it's gonna come apart for him. So that's me. And the most importantly, I think that the only one that's going to survive out of this is the dog.
Don't you think then if someone's going to die and piss off the ghoul, the dog could be one of those people?
He doesn't care
about the dog.
He's literally said that. He said the dog stays behind at the dock, doesn't he? And Lucy says, "What about the dog?" He's like, "Not mine." Walks off.
Oh yeah, you're good at these observations.
I've literally just been rewatching it. So
okay.
I kind of pretty much agree with what everyone else has said so far. I think that's where we all think it's going. The double turn with Lucy and the Ghoul, but I love Ben's idea of the Ghoul just doubling down. But one person we haven't mentioned who potentially could be your main villain is Hank for season 2.
Yeah.
As you said earlier, Ben, you don't cast Carl McLaughlin in a little part role. So
the last shot we had of him was kind of menacing. He had
he's there in his power armor, looking at that last shot. If you know the video games, that's New Vegas. So they're heading to New Vegas.
And why did you ask us where they're going, Neil?
It's a rhetorical question, Jose. Question. Perhaps my tone didn't come across.
Do you remember any of the characters in New Vegas?
It certainly did just then. Fucking hell. I mean, I might have shouted at Jose a minute ago in jest, but you just gave him a dressing down. My goodness. And go to bed with no supper.
Well, I mean, some of us had dinner before the podcast. Some of us are just wondering what's cold and sat on a plate in the kitchen.
Oh. Are you hangry, Neil?
Really depressing.
We're getting to that stage, Jose. We're getting to that stage.
Neil, do you remember any of the factions from New Vegas? So Caesar's Palace, I think, was one, and Mr. House was one of the other key characters in it. And depending on who you sided with, you got different endings. I can't remember who the bad side, the bad storyline faction is.
That's fine.
They're one of those. It's either going to. Mr. House seems pretty villainous.
But again, you could bring in new characters. It doesn't have to be the same three. I think they can expand the world out a bit more. Because I mean, they're definitely checking all this stuff. They're like, wow, everyone hates Maximus. Disembowel and get him disemboweled by a deathclaw. Episode 1, no one sees it coming. Okay, cool, let's do that. There's so many factions we haven't seen yet, and that's the great thing. They don't have to stick to this script or this storyline. They can go, oh, well, let's bring in some robots. Fuck it. In the games, there's a brilliant character. There's literally a private eye character, a robot private eye called Nick Valentine, who runs a detective agency in one of the towns. Who you go
he's
and have
simp,
start.
Right?
He's a simp, yeah. But clearly a simp.
Because he had half his face is torn off. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so many cool characters like that you could bring in. One thing that we haven't mentioned as well is the whole battle at the end was over cold fusion, which was like the MacGuffin for the series. And the fact that cold fusion can power, as you see, it powers up the town nearby afterwards. So there needs to be something more with that going on as well, potentially. But I like that they don't have to slavishly stick to everything. They can bring in a lot of new stuff because they did the smart thing for season 1, establish the world, keep it small with your free. I mean, again, we're definitely going to go back to the vault again and see what's going on with the brother.
I feel like we'll find out what the experimentations are next season.
Yeah, and I could watch a full-on spin-off show just about the brain.
Well, ironically, this show is basically Silo, but if Rebecca Ferguson actually got outside the silo and it wasn't really dramatic and sad all the time. I mean, I love Silo. There's your spin-off there. It made me laugh because, and spoilers for Silo, people, because the end of series 1 of Silo is literally her opening the silo and going outside and seeing another couple of silos. And I called that day 1 when we started watching the show. I was just like, of course there's going to be more silos. But Silo was very good. But can you imagine, hey, any excuse to get Rebecca Ferguson another show? Do your Silo, do your Fallout crossover? Just wandering in a desert. Hey, where'd you come from? Oh, this fault. Oh, that. It's never going to happen. It's like my whole James Bond Mission Impossible crossover that I'd love to see.
I think that's going to happen.
Can't the IMF work with MI5? Oh, it would make all the money ever in the world. Anyway, getting back to points. I've got a few just general notes about the show that I surreptitiously hit. So one thing we all mentioned about production design. I loved the production design of the show, like that sandy ghost town, and I was like, this looks familiar. Wait a minute, where was that filmed? And I've only bloody been there about 10 years ago, and it is a former German deserted mining town in Colemanskop, Namibia, Southwest Africa. And basically it was there for the mining rush, and then when they couldn't find any more thing, they just left the town to sink into the desert. And I've got this awesome shot, and I did a short video of it. I'll bung up after this podcast goes out on the thread, which I went around and filmed in those houses. And there's a bathtub half sticking out of the desert and all this kind of cool stuff. There's hardly any CGI on that location because it's just there, and it was hot as balls as well there. So poor Walton Goggins wearing all that shit in that location for day after day, man. Jesus, man, the man earned his paycheck just doing that. So I'll bung that on a link to that on our Twitter feed afterwards, so you can actually see one of the Fallout locations that I filmed in my previous life as a globetrotting international videographer. One other thing this show it had Ben from Lost in it until he obviously died and got his head chopped off. He requested for his head to be chopped off, which is fair enough. But he also was in Person of Interest, was one of the main characters in that. So obviously he's got form working with Jonathan Nolan.
So I was glad he died.
Oh, he's great.
He killed a puppy. And that's the one puppy that we saw. We don't know how many puppies that man killed.
He could probably kill the lot.
Yeah, but he saved the important one.
He saved the one he loved, David.
He saved the important one.
Only because it weighed the right weight. That was the thing.
It came under. He saved it because
it was the
I don't think he was. Yeah.
Why was he killing everyone else? Why is it okay to kill a perfectly healthy puppy? You know what?
He didn't kill any puppies.
I'm out. There's no argument.
So the other guys in the lab killed the puppy. The other guys in the lab that were doing the job that they were supposed to do killed the puppy. He was the one that saved it because he looks over at the guy throwing the puppy. Maybe I need to pay more attention
next time, and maybe.
It sounds like you weren't really watching it the first time. To be fair, David,
don't paint everybody in a lab coat as a puppy murderer.
Someone killed a puppy, and I didn't
John Wick's after that motherfucker now. He's going down. I won't worry about it.
Oh, imagine Keanu Reeves turns up in season 3 or something.
Of course,
there's another Wasteland Wanderer. Oh, no, I'm just getting a bit carried away on everything here at this point. One thing I loved was, and again, this is David. Did you spot it? The menu music from Fallout 4 when it kicked in at one point.
Yeah. There was loads of little things. Yeah, that was really good. Do you remember when he's trying to hack into the system at the vault, Norm, and you see how you meant to hack in the game, and I never
it's exactly-
I never worked out how to do that. I always just guessed.
I mean, all the music was directly from the games, because in the games you can wander around and turn on radios and it's just playing all old classic 50s music. I mean,
apparently all the score is from the games as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing.
The main song was "Set the World on Fire," right? From the game.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Yeah, that one.
When they started the whole cold fusion process, they typed in a code, and I wondered if that was actually related to the game at all. The numbers that he chose.
Probably, I wasn't paying that much attention.
Yeah, that was probably a really good Easter egg that I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them.
All right, to the listeners, please let us know if you know what that might connect to.
I mean, I loved it at the start as well. Like, the kids are watching the Grognak the Barbarian cartoon. Throughout the game, there's all these different, like, when your character levels up, there's all these different perks you get. So you get them by, like, picking up, like, magazines that are laying around in all different locations. And your, like, unarmed fighting skills go up every time you find a Grognak the Barbarian comic, which is really cool. And also, like, and go, hey kids, who want some sugar bombs? I was like, I mean, the food and drink in the game is amazing. Like Nuka-Cola, there was an expansion pack where you go to Nuka World, which is like Coca-Cola World.
Oh, wow.
You could just mix your... That's what I love, is like the world building part of the game afterwards. They just created like a creation suite for it and mods and all that. So you could just literally build your own Nuka-Cola machine and whatever flavors you wanted. They went so far into it because the game's been out for so long now. In fact, the one character I would love to see, or the one perk from the game I'd love to see in the show, but it would just be too out there because everyone would be going, what the fuck was that? There's a perk called the Mysterious Stranger. And when you level it up to a certain point, you could be in a fight against whoever. And there'll be like this film noir style music sting kicks. He goes, dun dun dun. And this guy in a trench coat just walks out with a gun and just kills with one shot whatever you're fighting. So it could be like the simplest monster or a giant boss, and it's completely random whenever he turns up. And like, you just see it, and you'll be watching the show, and like someone literally just turns up out of nowhere, murders someone, then walks out again. Who was that? Like, they will definitely do something like that.
That line was, "Who was that mysterious stranger?"
That'd be so
good. That'd be really good.
Well, coming towards the end here, guys. As always, I ask the morning of the podcast and not beforehand, because I should just plan more comments from people about the podcast. And long-time listener all the way from Canada and former shipmate Zach Abbott asked, I've never played the game, so will the show be for me? Guys, I think you can answer that one for me.
Yep.
I think so.
Oh, I have played the game, but yeah. Sorry, I thought it was for the people that hadn't played the game. So yes, 100%, my dude, yes.
Oh, man, that was a perfect moment.
Ruined
again.
I'm not...
I said, yeah, resounding yes. If you like retro-futuristic, post-nuclear carnage with equal parts humour, gore, and compelling story, then yes, it's for you.
It's nearly exactly what we just said here. Well done.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Just with more words and syllables. Luke from the Nerdstalgic podcast said, I really enjoyed it. It was mostly all fan service, but let's be honest, as a fan, I loved it all. But it also worked to get new fans interested, like my dad and sister, who are now playing through the games, having zero interest in them before. So the show worked, in my opinion. Awesome. And of course, David, our old friend Stu from Stu World Order.
I bet he fucking hated it. I bet he hates everything we love. I mean, I love him for it. He knows what he likes, you know.
Well, David, Stu said it looked far, far better than I think we could have ever hoped. It looked so much like the games, and the story was interesting too. And the story was interesting too.
Yes,
it was a blast.
Oh, that's like the first time, I think.
One thing I wanted to mention, because for those of you who listen, who probably know, but just in case, I'm a photographer, I'm a professional photographer.
Are you literally just touting for business now, Jose?
No. So I was
plenty of time for that at the end.
This is the end. So I came across a YouTuber called Edward Thompson, who had a channel called Pictures on My Mind. And what really was interesting is he wanted to talk about the photography of the show, which, you know, there's always for set photographers, but he came across some images that was posted on their Amazon Prime account that he said was very different from what you normally see. Usually you see a lot of background stuff, but some of the photos recently posted, they felt like they were in the world more than just covering the set. And a large portion of the reason for that was because you could see that it was using medium format cameras. And for those who don't know, medium format is just like a roll of film, but it's like a big square instead of a small rectangle. And so he wanted to kind of give a shout out to the photographer, because Amazon Prime didn't tag the photographer in any of the posts. And so I kind of want to do the same thing. The photographer is named Jojo Wilden, and she actually has a lot of film set experience working on different projects. Some of the more recent ones is the Mean Girls musical remake, which is questionable at best. And then the Netflix film Julia Roberts was in Leave the World Behind. She has really great photos. And the weird thing is that she only has like 7,000 followers, 1,100 posts, which is quite different from a lot of.
She's going to have 7,003 after people hear about her on this podcast, Jose.
I know, right? I know. And I thought what was interesting, what he mentioned is like, this is someone who's professionally a very successful person, but not having a large social media following. So I feel like it's really interesting that they don't worry about social media because they're just kind of doing their thing and really enjoying themselves at work. And so I just wanted to shout them out just because I thought that it was an interesting perspective to have, that, you know, we make social media a big thing sometimes, but really if you're just doing your own thing, you don't have to worry about it. So I thought I just wanted to mention it. Jojo Wilden, Wilden. So
thank you, Jose. And that has been your TED Talk today.
Hey!
No, nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
So I believe that's all today from our motley crew of Wasteland Wanderers. And remember, make sure to drink your purified water, stay away from feral ghouls, and always have a spare power core. Also, don't be a Maximus when you can be a Lucy. I'd like to thank our guest, Marie from Two Girls, One Reusable Cup. Marie, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find us all on all major podcasting streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast. I believe Google Podcast no longer exists, but if it still exists, we're on there.
Oh.
And you can join our sustainable support group by following us at Two Girls, One Reusable Cup on Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow me personally at Life on Mars.
Excellent. And I'd like to thank Ben-Ghoul. Ben, don't forget to take your Rad away and Rad X to stop becoming a full ghoul.
I think I'm just going to go full ghoul. I'm just going to lean into it. I'm fine with that. I think it suits me a lot better. Yeah, good chat, everyone. I actually thoroughly enjoyed today's session, and the highlight of it for me was Jose.
Speaking of Jose, definitely, is that your new power core, Jose? Is that what in front of you? That's what's going to keep your power armor going?
Yes, this is my new power core. This Audio Pro MX7. Crap, I don't know.
Still not getting a sponsorship. Definitely, if you can't remember the model as well.
Yeah.
And David, I'd like to thank you as always, but also I'd like to ask you one last question because I know you hate being put on the spot at the last minute. If you could pick one perk from the level up menu, what would you pick?
Strength, because have you seen what is this? I need the strength. Because that's what I need.
Sorry, that was very mean.
I mean, Marie, you didn't have to laugh that much when I showed my arm, but that's fine. You could have, not. Or charisma, that would be good for a fucking podcast. I could do with a bit of that.
David, the correct answer, as always, is Mysterious Stranger. Right, I'm heading back into the Wasteland to level up before I even think about trying to take on a deathclaw again. See you next time, folks.
We needed roads.